I'm Lauren,
I'm Kaylee.
and we're the creators of Get Messy.
Get Messy is an art journaling membership community with a focus on creating and connecting with other artists. It's both for beginners and experienced art journalists.
This is our monthly interview series, Messy Conversations, where we talk to some of our favorite art journalers and have them share their talents, secrets, and inspiration with us.
Through these conversations, we hope that you'll learn more about art journaling and are encouraged to find your own style by seeing all the differences in the artists that we interview. We especially hope that you are inspired to make something.
If you would like to become a part of our community, go to getmessyartjournal.com or check us out on Instagram at getmessyartjournal.
So let's chat.
Hi guys, I'm Lauren and I'm here with Kaylee and we're the creators of Get Messy Art Journal, and we are here with an interview with Vanessa, and she is joining us from Canada to tell us all about her art journaling experience. And Vanessa has been with us since almost the very, very beginning of when Get Messy started, when it was a very, very tiny little program, and there was just a few of us and we were linking around to each other's blogs. And so Vanessa came in and she was in Hong Kong at that time. And so she was sharing some really amazing stuff, and she caught our eye right away, not only with how incredible her art journal pages were, but with just how kind she was and how generous and how encouraging she was. And she was just one of our favorite people right away just because she had so many good things to say and so many good things to share with all of us. And so we have just loved having her here, and she's been such a huge part of Get Messy since, like I said, since the beginning, and she has helped create so many side projects, and she helped heads up our zine squad where they make zines and send all around the world to people, and so they just do some really amazing things. And so we're so excited to start our first interview with Vanessa, and so I'm going to let her go ahead and tell us some stuff about herself.
Yay! Okay.
Good morning. Oh, it's my turn now. Yay! Hi, everyone. I'm happy to be here. I started art journaling when I was in Hong Kong, like Lauren said. It was really a way for me to come to terms with what was happening in my life personally. Because when I went to Hong Kong, I stopped working and I became a housewife. So that to me was a big step, a big change in my rhythm of life. So I needed sort of a way to express myself outside of the role that I was being given. So one night I was walking around and trying to like change my ideas and stuff, and I ended up in a bookstore and I found this book that was called 1000 Artist Pages, and it was all about art journaling, and I'd never ever heard about that. And I ended up leaving the bookstore with that book and a sketchbook, which is here.
Yay!
It's my very first sketchbook. And I was like, I can do that. I can art journal. This would be awesome. And so that's how my journey started
Awesome.
in 2012. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so looking through the pages of these art journals that I brought for show and tell, it really hit me how my style has changed, and there's been a lot of progress in my pages, and about how just looking at this, even just looking at the actual book,
It's so beautiful.
it's like huge. It just brings me back to that. It just brings me back to that time period and everything that I've learned since then. And I bookmarked a couple of pages, but I mean, I'd love to, just go through everything.
Yes.
But some of my style back then was really like I needed to get stuff out. So it's writing. A lot of it is using these kinds of methods of writing things out with no space, so I can really say what I need to say without fear of censoring myself. And again, the writing was really important. So this spread is called Housewife, like it's a 4-letter word. A lot of trouble dealing with my identity card said wife of, which was really hard for me at the time. So that's why there's that mirror there So there's some art elements, but a lot of it is just writing out what I needed to say. And lots of collage, no paint in this one, or very, very little.
Yeah.
And then also exploring styles that are other people's styles. I think we tend to do that at first. We try to emulate other people because we don't really know yet how to tap into our own creativity.
Yeah.
So this was a like Tisha Moore type spread that I did. Lots
But
of
it's cool
collage.
because it's still like for me, it still looks like you. You know,
Awesome.
even though you're emulating someone else.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's good to know because, I mean, because collage is, you know, for everybody, right? There's always, you know, a magazine lying around, a National Geographic, or it can even be junk mail, and you just like mix them all together, or you find these images that talk to you, right?
Yeah.
But then the progress for me has been trying to get away from using someone else's work and making it my own and sort of, you know, digging deeper in that sense. So after I used this, I filled in 2 of these sketchbooks, and then I discovered Moleskines. And then I was like, oh, what is this?
Oh, you got a big one. Is that A4?
It is, I think, because I'm not in the A4
Oh,
thing.
yeah. Okay, yes,
8x10 or
Yeah.
I think so. And then I was like, oh, this is amazing, right? These beautiful bound journals that are nice and thick and really huge, right? So once again, this is number 3. So I started numbering them. One thing I used to do also was put the date on my spreads, which I don't do anymore. And that was a weird thing to let go of. For some reason, I found that really hard. It's the first time I went to Mexico for that workshop, and my teacher there was like, well, maybe, you know, it doesn't need to be attached to a date necessarily. It needs to be attached to a period of your life.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, okay. So I tried that, and I really liked that. But I like also the progression of,
Yes.
you know, how it came naturally, right? So a lot of...
Do you do your spreads like you do one after the other?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, because I tend to go like I'll start in the beginning, then I'll maybe work at the pages at the back. So for me, like maybe if I dated it would be a good idea because it's not actually chronological.
Wow, that's really cool. That's so interesting.
Oh, that's just because I don't want pressure. That's why.
I used to also go really from one page to the other, and now sometimes I come back and I add details and stuff.
Yeah.
But in general, my pages are finished. Like I, you know, some people rework them completely and just like cover things, and I can't do that. That's really hard for me to accept that. So this one was the moleskin was like a chance to go big,
It's
right?
beautiful.
So once again, this was for the Boston attacks. So all of my art journaling was really, really linked to what was going on either in the media or in my personal life. This was for the murder of a woman in Canada. Lots of stuff that's, you know, imagery that I've collected over time. A lot of issues about body issues, because I have those. And so I work them out in my art journal, which is how it should be, right?
Yeah.
And so a lot of collage and a lot of working my handwriting also, like playing with that. Let me know if I'm showing too much or if it's...
Never too much.
No, it's perfect.
So as things went on, I sort of decided to blend a bit more of my professional life into, so I'm an archaeologist and I work with human remains. So I decided to put in a lot more of these sketches that have to do with the
That's amazing.
human body and the bones and things like that, and try to mix those two up. And then with the moleskins, I discovered paint. Let's put paint on this and see what happens. So here it's still mostly background, but as things went, I started to explore a bit more what I could do with painting, or again, just playing with my handwriting, using big stuff. So at this point, it's still very much a diary, like a visual diary. So like saying things about what's going on and lots of confessions and random thoughts, sometimes prettiness. So that felt really good to me because I was still in Hong Kong, still not working in my field. So it felt really good to sort of connect with that part of me also and bring that back. Because I think something that can help newbies or noobs, as you call them, is to think about like personal symbols, right? because we all have things that appeal to us. We don't necessarily know why they appeal to us, but they call on us. So for me, bones, the skeleton is something that speaks to me a lot because of my professional life, but I can bring it into my art. And in doing that, I'm bringing a part of myself into the art.
Yeah, and you're really good at that.
Well, it's because I like it, and
Yeah.
it was like part of the stuff that I liked in my day job was doing all the drawings of the remains we were finding. That was like my favorite part, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah.
And so the difference between, doing a very technical drawing that has to be to scale and very proper, and then just letting loose into my art journal, it's like those two spheres were separate until I realized they can be together, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be, anatomically perfect. It just has to be, you can just see what it is, right?
Yeah, that's so cool.
I think I comment the same thing on your blog every time, Vanessa, because I love the fact that you like educate people along with your art journals. Because, recently you were talking about like the mind of like killers, and I feel like I just learned so much. Not only
Yes.
do I just like see your pretty pages, but I feel like I'm learning things by reading your blog and reading about why because I love that you explain the why behind some
That's
of these
amazing.
pages.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so
Thank
cool.
you. I think that, well, that's why art journaling is so awesome, because it really is one of those mediums that you can really put yourself in there. When you're putting something on canvas, you are doing it for other people. You're doing it for you also, but I mean, it's to be put in a museum somewhere or put up on a gallery wall, or it's to be in someone's house. So these pages, you're filling in these books, and you decide if you're going to let people peek in or not.
Yeah.
So you can really, really be honest in here and say things that you would never even say to a person. Your deepest, darkest fears, you can put them down here and get them out of you. And then you decide if you want to share or not. I think sharing is a big subject to touch upon, because for a lot of people it can be confronting, and they, would prefer to just keep them more, I don't want to say generic, but I want to say like maybe less intense spreads, and keep the intense ones for themselves. We've seen that on the blog and stuff like that, and which is fine. Personally, I'm like a wide open book. Like I like to share, and I like to, that's also why I think I like to talk about the why, because I don't want people to freak out and be like, what's wrong with this person? She needs help. This is my help. This is what and
Yeah.
I'm always conscious of what I share, because I want to. It's not it's like never coerced or invented. It's all because like this is what I want to share, because I'm as I put it on the page, I'm letting it go. Right? Some things are harder to let go of though, and always come back, and that's okay.
Yeah. So you haven't there hasn't been a page where you've thought, no, this is too much.
If there is one, it's because it was ugly to me.
Oh.
It's not because of the subject matter. It's because it didn't express what I wanted it to. So I've always shared pretty much everything. It's happened maybe once or twice that I haven't shared a page. It's because I was like, this page, is not worth sharing just because it's ugly.
Okay.
And when I say ugly, it's not like ugly pretty. It means ugly because it didn't express what I wanted it to.
Yeah.
Because
sure.
I'm all about, pretty is nice, but I'm always saying true is better. So it has to be true. It has to be authentic. It has to be what you want to say. It doesn't have to be pretty, Disney perfect. It has to be real. It has to be authentic. So that to me is the important part of that.
I like that.
Yeah. So what do you say that you never create a page just because you want to make a pretty page? It always has something you're trying to express, a why.
For me, yeah, it always has something to express. When Get Messy became a prompt-based group, then that changed my style a lot, because I used to, just express things that were coming to me. And now working with the prompt has been a change. So for me at first, it was, I would do like my Get Messy journal, and I would do my normal art journal. It would be in the same journal physically, but it would be like two different approaches.
Yeah.
Now that we're back in Canada and I'm working full time, don't have that much time for outside of Get Messy art journaling. So what I do is I do the prompts in the beginning of the week, but then on the weekend I just go crazy and I just do whatever is for me. And it's sometimes so happens that I can, it fits in with the prompts and things like that. But my expressive style is always I have to have something to say about this. So this is how I'm going to say it. It's never like, you'll never see like a quote in my art journal, like, la la, here's the quote. It's just not me. And I think some people do it perfectly, but for me, that's not at all what it is for me. So
interesting, yeah.
It's and at the same time, it's like I used to. We were talking a bit before about how the medium, it really influences my work, like the support, the type of book that I'm using. Before, I never wanted to do like small theme journals. I always wanted it to be, in my Moleskine and follow the chronological order. And then I realized that, sometimes some things need to be expressed other ways. So I have these little one-off art journals that have a theme to them, where I explore, let's say, with limited sort of supplies. And it's all about this one situation, for example. And this particular one is it's a friendship breakup that I went through. So a friend decided she didn't want to be my friend anymore, and it was really, I was unprepared for that, completely unprepared for that. So I needed to like do something, and I knew that just one page was not enough. I needed like a real, in French we say exutoire, which means like something to get it out of you and out there. So that's why I made this journal. And now I just have to look at the cover and I remember, what I'm going through, what I'm still going through, kind of. And then these two are more from like an art journal workshop that I took. And so this was my first foray into like having your own like little journal for something. So this is a theme, this is a feminist journal that I did, and I decided to use lots of vintage ephemera and things like that. And this one is all about my body issues, and which are ongoing, which always creep up in my stuff, and that's fine because they need to be addressed. And this is one of my favorites because I'm really super honest in here and sort of making associations that I maybe had not made before I took the time to address them in here.
Yeah, so you say like art journaling like helps you process everything.
Exactly.
Helps you be aware of things that you haven't felt or you hadn't thought that you were feeling before.
Exactly. It's really, and sometimes I'm sure it's happened to you. You look at a page and you're like, that's not at all what I wanted to say. And it turns out like so much more powerful, right? You're like, oh, that's what I needed to say, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
I love when that happens. I mean, it's really like, it's taking you somewhere. That's what I mean by, taking you somewhere true. Like many times I start and I have no idea where I'm going to go. And I never used to be like that. I used to be like, it's going to be like this, it's going to be really pretty, and I'll put wings and I'll be perfect. And so taking a workshop in Mexico taught me how to approach things differently. That's what happens when you work with different artists, right? Who have a different method, a different, that's why Get Messy is so amazing, right? Because you have this whole range of people that use things differently.
Yeah.
Like some of them it's with their words, some of them it's with watercolors, and some of them it's just collage and super minimalist, and others are like piling it on. This is what's so great is that you can, if you're a newbie, you can pick and choose, what's going to inspire and help you get your voice to come out, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's like I feel like showing my magic journal because I like it.
It's amazing.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
So this was made by, this book was made by a friend of mine that I met in my Mexico workshop. So this is a format I never, ever would have been attracted to at first. And I was just like, she was next to me when we were doing a workshop and I was like, oh, that's kind of a cool format. And she said, I have another one. So I was like, I bought it off her right away. And I even hesitated before the season of magic. I'm like, do I really want to do like a whole season in here? Because I'm usually like, I have to fill in my journal before I
Yeah.
start a new one, right? And so, okay. And then I said, okay, let's jump in. And I'm loving it. And the square format has just been like a completely new approach and things that I can't control anymore because her pages were covered with gesso already. And so the tooth of the paper is really different. And I didn't know that a lot of the things that are happening here would happen. Some of them dried and they erased kind of the face that I did. So it's like a measure of um, sort of like le hasard. So things that you can't control, basically, that just bring you elsewhere.
Yeah, that's so
Plus,
cool.
there's flaps. We like flaps, right?
Amazing.
So cool.
And so another thing that I want to say is that for me, like an art journal has to be a bound book. Like
Yeah.
it can't be a spiral. Can't have a spiral in the middle. That really bugs me.
Yeah.
That the spread can be like sort of cut off where the spiral is. That's super personal, right? And I know some people, like for me in my mind, that's a sketchbook, and it's so funny that I have those categories.
Yeah.
Same thing, loose pages. That to me is not art journaling, but I mean a lot of the people in Get Messy, that's what they do, and it's amazing, and it's really funny how differently people perceive things or define things for
Yeah,
themselves.
exactly. Yeah. It's like such a like personal thing.
It is.
Everyone's got such strong feelings about it. So weird.
Exactly. And that's cool. And that's cool also because like like we were saying, the medium will influence what you're doing, right? So this one I was talking about personal
Exactly.
symbols. Yeah. So this is my personal symbol, and it just came to me after a while. I'm a rabbit in the Chinese zodiac. And so it's just developing that into a symbol for myself, and that he can come back, whenever I need him to. I think that's a really fun exercise to do when you're just starting. Think of animals that you like, think of people that you like. That's my tip for a newbie.
Yeah.
Find a personal symbol and make a self-portrait. So these are self-portraits that I made of myself.
Incredible. Oh my
And so, right, your self-portrait doesn't have to be like a face. It can be, your favorite color that you just splash around and that's you. It can be like, pictures of your favorite activity, your favorite supplies, whatever, like the way you define yourself is so different from every period in your life, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is because I'm able to go further maybe than when 3 years ago when I started, I probably would have made a face. And actually did, but I can't remember in which moleskin it is. And then, just using what you have and going for it. And that's what's so great about Get Messy. We have all these tutorials of techniques and how to use stuff. And men, I haven't.
Hello.
This is like, I never put men in my art journal. And my husband was like, what? So, it's Gary Oldman, it's okay. Here he is again. And so like, all of this, like this is the phrenology stuff that you were referring to, Lauren, which was, another way of me combining things that I've learned with art journaling and my day job with my art. So I think that's also part of it. So this is an ongoing one that I've prepared and I'm going to work in for this week. I don't know what the prompts are going to be, so we'll see how it changes, right? So
Yeah,
Amazing.
yeah,
I know. So how often do you art journal, Vanessa?
every day.
Every day?
Every day I'm doing something. If I'm not actually, pushing paint on paper or cutting something, I feel like something's missing from my day.
Yeah.
So like because I'm working full time now, that I have just a few hours in the evening after the kids are in bed and homework's done and real life stuff, and then I spend at least an hour just preparing pages or cutting stuff or even just thinking about it. We have a pretty long commute, so I use that commute to sort of think about ideas and stuff I want to pursue. And then, of course, listening to the radio, you hear what's going on in the world. I always have, an opinion or something that I feel like I need to get out onto paper. Then that's how I do it. Managing your time is really hard. It's really, it's not easy to have creativity in your life when it's going, 5,000 miles an hour or kilometers an hour. It's not easy. So I have like my tips are have like a space that's dedicated for your art journaling, right? Have a space that's there just for that. It can be the dining room table, it can be like right next to the dining room table, but have your stuff like readily accessible with your book open to the page you're working on. Because sometimes even just as you go by, you're like, oh, I didn't notice that. Look at how the light is falling on this. Oh, maybe I'll, capture that, or I'll write about that. Or so, if it's open and you can see it, then you'll keep thinking about it. And then whenever, like for the seasons, I like to make sort of mini kits. Not overly curated kits, but I just like remember, oh yeah, I had this, this picture, whatever, and I pull them up and I put them close to my journal. That way I know right away that I can go dig and I don't have to like, turn over the whole big box full of papers and like dig through, although that's fun. It can be distracting because you're like, oh, look at this. And it's not at all what you're looking for.
That's such a good tip, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
you wrote a really good post for us actually back at the beginning of our blog about how you store
yes.
all of your stuff. So we'll definitely link to that. That's a great
Oh, that'd be
resource.
great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was fun because we had just moved back to Canada. So that was like, oh, now I can really, decide where I want things to go, right? When it's not like in the middle and then things grow organically, right? But sometimes you can really have that moment where you put things the way they should be.
Yeah.
It never lasts too long, but anyway, things get mixed up after a while.
Yeah. So Vanessa, when you're making every day, are you finishing a page completely every single day?
No. I'm working on a page. Usually it'll take me about, I'd say 3 days to complete the page. So I can be working on more than one at a time, but it'll take me definitely 3 days. So 3 days being, 3 times 1 hour.
Yeah.
Because that way, yeah. So I usually, start working on the Monday. Sometimes I'll have done a couple of things on the Sunday, sort of prepare. And then I have, I always share my pages on Thursday morning. So I have to have them done by Wednesday so I can take pictures of them.
Yeah.
So basically that's what I do. I just, I like taking the time to do a page. Like I like that rhythm of really getting involved into the page. So since I've started working full time, I'm sometimes frustrated by that because I cannot, give it as much time as I would like. But I know that'll change next year when we move to Beijing. I'll have a bit more time to spend on each page. So I expect my style to change. I expect my, things to be different, which is good and normal. And you have to have that room for change also. Like, I know people are like, I have to find my style and I can't. Your style is going to change. Your style is going to evolve and it's going to appear. And you might not even know that it's your style, but it totally is. Like you were saying, I was doing in the Tisha Moore style and you said it still looks like your stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I mean, right? I think that the quest for your style when you're first starting out is really stressful because you really want to like show that style, but it's not going to appear magically. It's going to evolve from the more pages you do.
Exactly. Yeah.
Kaylee, you mentioned that a lot in your work about how you got to do the work, do the art, and then things sort of come out of that.
Yeah.
So I definitely, I do a lot of pages because it's important to me and I need it. But I don't do 1 page a day.
That would be ridiculous.
Well, that would be like physically impossible.
Yeah,
It doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
But, at the same time, when you're inspired, it just comes together, right? That's why the creative team is so interesting because it's so diverse. And the whole group, actually, not just the creative team. And people like to share and they like to support each other, which is like amazing, which is something that I've never seen in any other group. Yeah, it's crazy. It's just like holding each other up, which is so cool. And I think that's what it should be about. It's a treat to work with you guys, and it's a treat to have that space where, you know, everybody is welcome and everybody can bring their own and feel like their contribution is important, because it really is. And newbies or people who have been doing it, you know, for 10 years, we're all going to listen and we're all going to be inspired by each other. So that's really cool too. Like everybody's on equal footing. And even though people are like, oh, it's so great, it's great just because I've done it. It's great to you, but it doesn't mean it's not close to what you can do. You can definitely go there, because what you are doing for you is super important. And it's not the comparison. It's like what you're putting or bringing to the journal and to the whole process. Process is important. You guys, I love this.
I know. Well, thank you so much for taking time to hang out with us, Vanessa.
It was a pleasure. I love this. I want to Google Hangout all the time now. This is so cool.
Well, we'll go ahead and we'll wrap up. And so we will have show notes and we'll have links to everything we talked about, and we'll have all of Vanessa's tips for newbies typed out so that you guys can see. So thank you guys all so much for joining us. Bye.